So there's an interesting concept where the term chaos, where chaos becomes a catalyst. And I think we're seeing this very much in what's going on today. There's a lot of chaos, a lot of uncertainty, doubt, fear, confusion, all of that stuff. But then that has and is acting as a catalyst for growth and awakening. And you're seeing that, I mean, I've personally seen it in my life. I've seen it in people I know. And things, I like to imagine the analogy of a fire. If you imagine like a forest fire, what will happen is that obviously the forest will burn and it seems chaotic in the moment and things are destroyed. But then what happens is that leads to more growth in the forest ultimately. But in the moment, at the time, it feels like the whole world is ending for the forest. But it's really not. It's just actually it's clearing the way for new things to grow. And I think that's really what's happening now. And what has happened historically, I've studied a lot of different, like the rise and fall of empires, reading about various historians that have summarized this stuff. And what I've noticed is that wherever there has been absolute chaos, right, so really, really bad situations, it has always it's been very strongly correlated to growth, advancements, breakthroughs in technology and the way of doing things. And I think that's what's happening now, in a way, because so you're seeing everything kind of chaotic. People are scrambling around. Who do we trust? Why have they said this? There's a lot of confusion and chaos. But I think that is leading to more growth and awakening. And I mean, you've seen it, right? In the last few years, there's been all kinds of stuff going on. Organizations and institutions that should have our best interest at heart have been essentially misleading and doing things for nefarious purposes. We've seen all kinds of stuff like that. But what I think has led to, and it is leading more to, is to people as a whole, like you and me, looking for better alternatives, better ways of doing things, and ways of improving the systems that clearly don't work and haven't been working for a long time. The systems, and I can't really go too much into it, but you know what I mean, right? The systems that are supposed to keep us healthy, when in reality they keep us sick, so that they can keep profiting from supposedly curing us from the sickness they're causing. And so everything becomes inverted in that way. But we see that now. We're seeing that, and I think people as a whole realise that and are now taking things into their own hands and actually saying, you know what, I'm not going to take this pill with 10 pages of side effects when there's a perfectly good natural alternative that has almost no side effects and seems to work better, and it is cheaper, in many cases free. You can find stuff in nature. I mean, there's all kinds of alternatives. So my point is, chaos is a catalyst. I don't think we should be scared or panicking when things seem to be falling apart. I think it's actually a perfect opportunity for everybody, me and you, and everyone else, to say, hold on a minute, okay, so the system that's just collapsed, all these institutions and even to a large part economies, we need to start saying, what do we actually really want? Do we want, for example, a currency that loses 5 to 10% of its value every year through inflation? Do we really want that? I don't think we do. I really don't think we do. Would you want to lose 5% of your money per year? I wouldn't. And it's other things, like the healthcare system. Let's say you have something wrong with you. You go to your doctor. The doctor says within a few seconds, with seemingly no thought whatsoever, he seems to say, oh, okay, yeah, I know what that is. Basically what they're doing is they're entering symptoms into their computer database, and then it spits out a product. It says, if they show these symptoms, it's probably this, so recommend, or essentially sell, not recommend, sell, because they get paid commission, sell this product, this pill, this cream, or whatever it is they are promoting at the current time. That isn't necessarily the best thing for you. In many cases, it actually makes things worse, or you're left with side effects, and then you have to get prescribed something else to treat those side effects. That whole system is a multi-billion-dollar business, an industry, and they profit more. This is what people don't get. They profit more when you're more sick, so they have seemingly no incentive to actually help you and treat you, or at the very least, they have no incentive to treat you fast. Maybe they'll help you with some things, but it will take a while and it will cost you a lot. But in most cases, they don't want to heal you. They don't want to cure you, because then they would lose a customer. And we're realizing that, but not just the healthcare system, right? There's a whole load of different stuff that is being torn down, that we need to start thinking, what is a better alternative? Like, for instance, with the political system, right? Why do we have a system where we have to choose between basically two things, left or right? And those are really the only options that are actually practical, that will actually result in that person or that party winning. Why do we have to choose between two options when, political stuff is a lot more complicated than that? There's a lot more things to take into consideration. We should have 10 or 50 parties to choose from. or in fact, we should really have a system whereby no matter which party is in power, individual issues are voted on by each individual person through the internet or through the blockchain. That's really what we should be having. Instead of having the case we have now, where you have a choice, right? It's not really a choice, but a choice between left and right. Let's say you pick left, and they do some things you like, but then they do some things you don't like and you don't agree with. And more often than not, those things that you don't agree with, everybody doesn't agree with. And so hold on a minute. So the people in power that we supposedly voted in power are doing these things that nobody really wants. Why do we not have an individual vote on those issues? Why do we have to just let these, in most cases, elderly people who have a history of corruption and scandals, elderly people above 60 and 70, run the world, run the country and the world? That's an insane system, which makes zero sense. But you can see how the people that are benefiting from that system have no desire to change it. And that is one of the examples that I think now we need to start thinking, okay, that doesn't work. That doesn't work historically, and in our experience, that does not work, because these people don't have our best interests at heart. They're focusing on their agendas, their profits, their connections, and all of that stuff. It's not going to work. Yeah, so that's what I think. I think chaos can be a big catalyst. It can make way for change in a good way.